Hey everybody, welcome back to Skygrid with Boomer. So today we're going to really do some major upgrades up here. One of the things that's been bugging me up in this area is a lack of space, and it looks and feels just a little bit too cluttered for me. Now one of the things that initially we were pretty excited that we had figured out was what I call my V48s. And if you look behind me, it's simple, the 48 double chest full of bone meal, running the Android farms out of Slimefun. However, when you look at that one, and then you look at that one, and then you look at that one over there, and that one over there, it's so massive, and it takes up so much room, and it's probably not the most efficient design I could have come up with. It was probably at the time, really, it was enough. Let's get the Androids running, let's make some product, let's see what we can do. And then we added in the abilities to make carbons and carbonados and chunks and all these other things, and then obsidian, and other things that added up here, and now it's become so clustered and so claustrophobic to an extent that I spent the last 48 hours roughly trying to figure out how can we recreate these farms in about a tenth of the space. And initially I had a design. I actually had one that was 1/10 of the amount of space that all of this, including the chests that were back there, took up. There was only one problem, is that the speed of one Android mining 4 plants just couldn't keep up. And so I had to go back to the drawing board, and I came up with about 5 more designs. And then I found what I think is the most compact and efficient way to do this. Right now I have to drain all the bone meal out. If I start breaking all these chests and open them up, it's going to horrendously lag the server. So I have all of them running right now just to empty out the chest of bone meal. And then we're going to start tearing them all down. And then we're going to relay all of those out. And so instead of seeing 12 plants in this massive of a space, what you're going to see is 24, and I'm hoping just a little bit less overall. It's roughly 9 wide plus the nodules, and then I can actually put 3 sets back to back. So right now this is approximately 27 wide. Then when I'm going to build, if I build all 24, it's like 25 wide, but it only comes back to about here, and it's double the capacity. So that's what we're going to start working on to try to clean this up, and we're going to bring it back as far as we possibly can versus worrying about how does it line up with that. I want them absolutely as close to these walls as we can get, because I want to open up the middle some more. We have some other plans that we want to put in here. Right now this kind of works as a walkway, but I even found myself tripping over this. And I would really like to be able to move that. It might be a problem though, given that there's a bug with the minion store. It doesn't properly detect how many you've placed. And it changes based on where I am in the grid. At one spot it was 97, in another spot it was 14, and another spot it was 140. And so none of those numbers were right. So we're not quite sure how we're going to get around that. We're going to look at this. I may have to go pick up some to move this, because I have to get my number below 100 in order to place them. So we're going to see what we can do. And then I want to get some of these manual pieces that I hardly ever use. Like I almost never use this anymore. This is fully automated behind. I've only used this one once or twice. I almost have never used that one. I've got a thing going here which I desperately need to move. I do use this system a lot, and I use this a little bit, but now we've automated that one. So, and then we've got sandstone. Do I have any left? We have sandstone being turned into sand through an ore grinder, which then is going to a furnace to turn it into glass. I think I finally ran out of fuel. Is that the bug? Is this why it stopped? Yeah, I finally ran out of fuel. So I have to put some coal in there. So anyways, you can see what's happening. It's becoming just a giant mess, and I want to clean this up and relay it all out. So at some point here, I'm going to try, if I can, to time-lapse at least these coming down. We'll take all 4 of them, we'll tear them on down on camera, and then we'll work on start building them together. So we'll see you in just a brief moment here. So guys, I have to apologize. I had the entire base being torn down on a time lapse. And I don't know what happened, but for some reason the cafe recorder software did not record it at all. So all it did is it just took a picture of if I would hit the escape button while playing Minecraft, and it left that screen up. It never went back to recording what was going on. So I'm sorry I've lost the footage tearing down the base, but again, I really hope you did enjoy at least seeing the change. Hopefully it's a little bit cleaner and a little bit nicer, but let's get back into it. So guys, it's been about 3 days since the last scene. And I'll tell you, it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to pack everything up, take it all down, start building it out. And then I was doing some troubleshooting in Slimefun. The base isn't quite 100% rebuilt yet. I did take down everything. Every single storage facility, every Slimefun thing was completely stripped on down. And then I started rebuilding the base. So I've got the ingots in. Everything is now in Slimefun barrels at different levels. They all have biometric protection, so nobody can get into them. Make sure that if you are building Slimefun barrels, you are using biometric protection. Regardless of protect blocks, if you don't use it, anyone can access them and take everything that's in there, and you'll never know who did it. So make sure you use biometric protection. Craft that item frame that goes on there and smack it on. But I've got the ingots on both sides, and then we have our smelters. So, and this time I put the list of what goes in there. That way I don't have to go back and continuously resort to the guide to see what I needed in order to craft these. I can get to them a lot faster. So we have the storage, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, but for example, I have 10,942 Corinthian bronze ingots. Okay, great. What am I going to do with all that? These will hold 32,000 and change each. And then the big ones, I had to empty these out, and I knew I wasn't going to need all of them. So actually, when I went to empty all this out to clear it and move it, most of them had over 300,000 dust. And I simply put a network note on it, sent it back to the trash can, cleared them all out so I could bring them over here. So we kind of rebuilt this a little bit. It's a little bit different than it was. Everything is now either in Slimefun barrels or vanilla barrels. There is no more hoppers behind it. Remember, I had that really intricate system. That's it. There's nothing back there now, so it's much friendlier in terms of server lag because there's no redstone whatsoever anywhere on this floor. Everything is now network nodes. I even took out the pipe system from the redstone sorting. That way I didn't have to mess with it. I still have my Slimefun crafters down here, the output chest. We did move a few other things. We put the ingot factories right here, and they're tied into the appropriate side. So if I need to smelt 2 shulkers worth, let's say, of zinc, I simply go over to the dust. I come in here, or this is tin, same thing. I can pull out 2 shulkers worth of tin, come over here, dump it into this barrel, and it will automatically transfer into here. And when it's done turning into ingot, it will smack it dab way right into here with the rest of the tin. No more moving it, no more going from shulker box to shulker box and back and forth. I simply can fill up to 6 shulkers worth, and it will all transfer and cook on its own side. And then over here, it does aluminum, copper, iron, and lead. So it's split up nice and even. We did move the cobblestone generator back to the corner, and I realized after I had that up and most of this, that this entire thing needed to be flipped 180 degrees the other way. And after I placed it all, I said, screw it, I'm going to leave it where it is. Because I had all of this going down. And it needed to be within 30 blocks of the minions in order for it to be teleported right into the system, and it's not. So I had to use a teleporting hopper. No big deal. It fixed the problem. And that's actually, here's what it does. A teleporting hopper simply brings it over to this barrel, and then from the barrel, the network pulls it out, puts it in the deep end storage unit. There, and you got to see it come in. It's been running so fast that nothing's gotten stored up yet, and silly me let my minion feeder run out of health. So the 20,000 cobble that was in there got all pulled out, used, turned into dust, which was great. But now it's producing 42 every other second. So it's going to take a while to get going and caught up. I'll just let it run overnight, because what will start to happen as dust, once one of these hits 1,000,000, obviously then the system will back up. And then I'll start having that ingot dust go right into the trash can. Now, I don't have to wait till it hits 1,000,000. If I've got 200,000 magnesium dust and I don't want any more, I'll simply send it right to the trash can. And then as the other ones go, and it gets up to a certain level, at some point I'll just turn them off. And then I'll just let it run. Because we did a couple other things over here. We have clay coming into this barrel, into a carbonado edge furnace, smelting it right into bricks. So we have 23,000 bricks. If we were to pull these out and craft them up, we'd get roughly 6,000 brick blocks. And then same thing with clay. So half of it goes there, half of it comes here. If I want to make block clay, and then I can also smelt it into terracotta, I do have another carbonado furnace I could use. I could start pulling all this out, turn it into clay, fire it up, make it terracotta, go from there into dyeing it and or glazed terracotta as well. So we've got all those in there. This is just empty storage for shulkers at the moment. I need to find a better place for those. We've got the formula set at 30 ore grinders to 20 gold pans to 10 dust washers. I honestly thought this would work. When I had 25 to 20, some of the gold pans would fill up completely. Now I'm low on cobble, so I'm not able to test the capacity of that yet. But when I did have 30,000 cobble, 30 to 20 did not fill up. And you would think it has to, because this is only kicking out gravel. That's it. That's all that comes out of there. So how do 30 gravel coming into 20 not cause it to back up? Well, when you watch it, a gold pan is faster than an ore grinder. And so what I'm probably going to have to do is add 10 more ore grinders to this to test. Can those 40 then hold back and fill up the 20 gold pan? Well, then it's also a question of, will the 20 take control of the dust washer? Now you saw the first one, I believe, had 2 stacks of sifted ore. It does. Second one does. These are on round robin, are they not? Yeah. Yeah, they're all on round robin. So I'm not sure why some of them have more than others. They should be relatively even, but clearly they're not. One of those Slimefun bugs, I guess. So anyways, 20 seems to be able to partially get ahead of 10. If we were to balance this out and we get that cobble going a little bit faster, I'm starting to think that 10 might not be enough. I might need to go to 15. Everything got upgraded to the max level, whether it was ore grinder 2, or if it was the dust washer 3, or the gold pan 3. They've all been upgraded to the max level. I found out I had some 2s in one of them, so that was kind of throwing off the system a little bit. So yeah, that's done. We've made a new storage area over here. This is for the redstone kit that we have on the server, all the redstone items, and colored glass and wool. And all I have to do is dump it into this barrel dispenser, and it goes right into the dispenser over there. Now, there's only one channel. For those of you who've been watching the networks, I have 64 items on one channel. Here's why it works, is because you don't put 64 different items in here at once. And you're not having all of that going through the network at once. It's only going to pull one stack at a time. So it doesn't overload the network. If I had tons and tons and tons feeding into this barrel, I could probably kill the network. But because it can only pull one item at a time, 64 different items on the network, it isn't an issue, and it's pretty quick. But what I want to do when I finish up showing you today, there we go, because I want to get up on this, is the new Android farm. So just to kind of get up on here. As I talked about earlier, there's 6 segments here. Each one has 4 plants. And you can see we've got here the dispensers firing into the plant. The Android now can pick up and mine that plant instead of having to be directly overhead. We tried to get the androids to mine 2 plants at once, and it just does not work. We had to program it to turn, and it got kind of complicated maximizing the efficiency of the space. I tried 4 different designs. This was by far the most compact and efficient design. You have 2 fuel inputs and then 2 item interfaces for the androids. For those 4, they each share 2 androids, each share 1 of those. So we can turn it on the bottom with the redstone right there. It sends a 3-tick pulse going around the dispensers, which fires the bone meal. We have bones and bone meal being stored up here. So I have 130,000 bones. I have 404,000 bone meal stored for when I turn the system on. I'm a little hesitant to turn it on, not because I'm worried about server lag. We found that's not the issue. The crucibles are bugged. What generates lava for the androids is fuel. The bug has gotten worse, and quite quickly it tends to take buckets and turn them into lava buckets when there's nowhere to put the bucket, and it simply disappears into thin air. And so that creates a problem, because then you can either keep just exactly enough buckets so that it never has one to smelt, but then when you need one, it can't smelt one because there'll be none in there. If you leave 1 extra one in there, it turns it into a lava bucket and disappears. So you're going to have to kind of babysit the system when it's all firing. And I've reported the bug a few times. I don't know where we are in the status of fixing it. But we're going to take this and we're going to duplicate it over on that wall as well. And then we're going to have additional storage over there. Then what's going to happen, these areas will be set up to specific recipes of certain things, such as batteries, motors. We're going to put the ice farm back in. We're going to put the obsidian farm back in. And so we're going to have to really watch that and be cognizant of cobble and buckets going into the system. I've got a theory on how I can do it with a crucible, using a comparator on a chest and inverting a signal that the comparator would lead to in a block, therefore locking a hopper underneath it to keep it from pulling out the cobble until a bucket gets transferred in there. Without any cobble, the crucible can't make lava. And so with a series of creative redstone, we might be able to create a bypass for that, to where we could actually take the crucibles out of this system and then put lava onto the network and have it go to the fuel interfaces as necessary. So it's something I'm going to play around with. And then my thought is, I wanted to build a house and enclose that whole system right there to make my actual home up here be similar to what the structure was I was up to beforehand. So that's something I'm considering as well. I'm sorry it took so long, so many days to get this done, but I'm going to try to get this edited either tonight or first thing in the morning and get up for you guys so we can get on to the next episode. But I do want to thank you guys so much. I do appreciate your time and watching the videos, and if you are so inclined, you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear it, how things are going, whether on the server as a outside observer or just anything in general. But thank you for watching. And as always, when we're on grid, we say you gotta go boomer or you gotta go home. We'll see you later.